It's a perfect situation.
The white squares that are in the centre, such as that one there, I've decided to sash it with exactly the same material. Mason! That's not another doggy, that's you, it's a mirror. For the sashing, I want 2-inch strips, and that should leave me just over an inch for the sashing itself, about an 1.25 inches, something like that. And they need to be 9 inches long, because now I have trimmed all of them up, they're exactly 9 inches. Check my plan where everything's going, make sure I'm putting the strips in the right places, and then I will get a strip, right sides together, and sew down it, then press it back like that. So let me show you that now on what I've done. The strip is on, so I will get the one that it's going to attach to. It isn't going to attach to this one, but this is just to show you. I will place them right sides together and sew it down, and then that will give me, then I'll press it back in the same way, and that will give me the 2, and then I'll do it on the others in the correct order of my plan. If you've not got a plan or anything like that, it doesn't matter. Then you will end up with a whole row. In my case, it's 5. You can't see it all, but whoop. And when you've got 5 rows, in my case it's 5 rows because I'm doing it 5 by 5. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks here. And when I've got 5 rows, then I'll show you the next step of the sashing. And I should finish it today, because there isn't that much left to do. You saw me doing the sashing on it earlier, and I've done all the individual sashing in between the blocks. Now making rows. Now what I've got to do is put one row with the other row. So these are the bottom 2 rows that need joining here. So for the time being, we will move this, which is the 4th row, and get some stripping. And it's going to just fit on there, lovely. And for these, to join the rows, you get your right sides, put it to the right sides, and just sew all along it. Because of how the sewing machine is built, it's better to have the bulkier material to the left hand side. Now, what you do is you place that on there and sew all the way across your row. So that's what I'm going to do now. Little tip here, ladies, I don't tend to work with pins, pinning it all on that, because I keep stabbing myself. But when you're first starting off a piece underneath the needle, it can, especially with this silky material, it slides around. So what I do is I put a pin further inside and it holds these ends together, so I can actually put them underneath my needle and start sewing. And I can leave that until I finish the whole thing. But when I'm down here, the stitches are holding it rather than the pin, so I'll take the pin out then. I put one pin lower down to help keep it at that angle for when I'm starting it off. But when I get down to here, I just take this pin out, that pin out, and then the rest of it, as I'm sewing, I move it along to wherever I want. Because if you pin it now, you might have pinned it too tight, too slack, whatever. So I find it easier to actually do it as you go. But those first 2 pins do help. I have sewn all the way along and pressed it back. Now when you're sewing, because your middle sashing may be slightly longer than your block or slightly shorter than your block, always try and make sure that you're sewing on level with your blocks, because if it's slightly short, if it's slightly longer and you sew to there and you've only got 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, then there's a chance that you will actually miss the first part of your block. So always sew. Plus that's the biggest thing anyway. This is only like 1 inch, the sashing is. So, and that's 9 inches. So go to your block. The first one is easy to do, because you just basically putting them together. Now this is the next row. Just check on my plan that it's the right way around. This has got to be sewn to here. Now as you can see, my strips are slightly longer and I've not trimmed them. You can trim them at this point, you don't have to. So what I do is, once I press it back, because that's one thing about quilting or making these blankets, at every stage that it comes off the sewing machine, press it back. That's why I like chain piecing or doing several things at once and then ironing them all, because pressing them with your iron helps to set your seam and gives you a nice crisp edge to work with for your next bit. So always do that. Putting it on, what you want to do is line your seam up for your middle sashing with there. Now that can be awkward because you've got to find it and then move it up. So I found a little trick. It's easier with smaller blocks. I did it on the crumb quilt. But if you follow your seam that's down here that attached your block to this little sashing, and then line it up with the seam of the block underneath, then you know you've got a good edge. So you line it up there, make sure it's level, then you come up to the top here and your seams should match. I mean, if someone gets a millimetre thing to it, they might find out that it's out slightly, but not much. So that's what I do, and I was going to, as per usual, put pins in my mouth, but I can't talk then. So on this occasion I use several pins because I've now got that where I want it to be. So I pin it, don't want it to move, and I'll go down the line to actually get them all done. But I'll talk you through that one again. Find your seam of your block to your sashing, put it on the seam of the one below. That'll give you a nice thing. Follow it up, bend it back slightly, and you'll see if the seam is right at the top. If so, slide it in a bit further, hold it down, turn it back, it's still there, so pin it in place. So as I say, I'll pin this and then sew it on and then show you. See how it quickly grows now. It's as wide as my work surface, and that's just 2 rows. Now don't beat yourself up if, like me, you've got a square that doesn't meet up. So it makes it completely unique. The others have more or less matched up, so I'm happy. But because this is so colourful, your eyes are going to be looking at the squares and not whether they completely match up, which they don't a lot. This is only the second one I've ever made, but I'm going to try better on the next one. So I'm going to put it on exactly the same as I did, but instead of sewing, I sewed with the block on top and the binding below. I'm going to do it the other way around. I'm going to match it up like this and then flick it over when I do the sewing machine. Done! They're all sewed together. Now this new thing that I came up with, because, let's bring it up here, these first 2 rows did not line up too well at all. I lined it up and pinned it exactly where it should go to put it right in the next row, but reversed all the pins so I could have the border on top. And then for the next few rows, as you can see, I did exactly the same thing, and they came out very, very close. In fact, some of them are spot on. But this end actually is more spot on. Some of them are really, but that's how I'm going to do it again in the future. Because this is only the second one that I have sashed. Because you can't class the wall hanging quilt, although that was sashed because it's quilt as you go, so it's a different way of sashing. But so this is only the second one I have sashed, because my crumb quilt was the first and this is the second. But it's now I've got to decide, now it's all together, it's about a border. Do I make a border that goes right round the edge, the same size as these, or a bigger, thicker one? I could do a border all the way round and do mitered corners, but I thought no, I'm just going to do ease, so it'll be very much similar to the actual blanket itself. So I'm going to do that now and just sew. I have put the big border on, got the backing material and laid it right side up, and then I put the blanket top right side down, so they will be right sides together. And I'm going to pin it now. It would be easier with quilt pins or safety pins. I've got neither, so I use normal sewing pins. But don't start from the edge. Start from your middle block and then work out and round, because it will move. And then I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and sew all the way around it, but I'll leave one square completely not sewn up. It'll be the equivalent of a square, so I can turn it so the right side is outside. When you're putting the backing on, always allow yourself a good few inches either side, because even though you pin all of it, same as I do, it's still going to shift slightly, because you can always trim it up afterwards. So now the moment of truth. Let's find the bit that I left to turn it around. I have trimmed a lot of the excess off, but as you can possibly see me stitching, I don't go and bother, because it's going to be sewn down anyway. I'm top sewing it. I have cut the corners out. You can see my stitching there, a cover there. I've cut the corner out to my stitching, basically to take some of the bulk out of it. So let's have a look. And that's how it seems to be coming out. Brilliant. So what I'm going to do now is basically turn all this under like that, and then sew on the top all the way around it. So you can see just by pulling it around, it naturally wants to fall like that anyway. I've now top stitched it all. My machine does fancy little patterns, so that's what I've done around the edge. You can just do a straight line or zigzags if it doesn't do a fancy pattern. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but that's what it's like on the reverse. But I'm going to put it on top of the bed and show you now. You can see this is what's on the backing, and I've been roasting while I've been sewing all this up, because this has been sitting over my knee, so it is quite warm. But there it is. It's about 52 inches by about 52. It's about 4.5 foot. So it's the biggest one yet. But it's done. Thank you very much. Bye.
It's a